All right, Sean, I got to talk about the YouTube algorithm because clearly some people have unlocked it and most of us don't know the password. What are the key things to unlocking the YouTube algorithm? What do you think?
Yeah, so YouTube has been pretty clear about this that there's really two big metrics and then one supportive metric, and that is click through rate, average view duration, and then user surveys. And so to try to simplify, and that was probably not terms that you talked about at dinner last night, around the kitchen table, but essentially, YouTube's goal is to have somebody actually come to YouTube. They will reward you if you can influence that, meaning if you have an email list or you send traffic externally, they start saying, wow, I like this person. It's kind of like you would like if you had a restaurant, you would like it if people brought you customers. And so YouTube wants you to bring them customers. Their business model is advertising. And so they need people to come to the platform. But they also have such a strong brand. People are coming to the platform on their own. So once someone's already there, the next question is, can we actually give this viewer something that'll satisfy them, something that will keep them here, something that will make them happy? It wouldn't be good to get thousands of new customers to your restaurant only to have them have a terrible experience, write bad reviews, and never return again.
Mhm.
So even not all viewership would be created equal. They want satisfaction. So ultimately, assuming someone's on YouTube, the first metric is, can we get someone to actually click on a video?
Okay.
Can we get someone to click it and begin watching? And so then the second average view duration is, can we get someone not just to click on a video, but can we actually get them to watch as much as possible and even until the end? And this switched a few years back because YouTube 2010-ish was kind of known for having a lot of, people call it clickbait today. It was a whole nother level of clickbait. You would just find some picture of Justin Bieber, put him in the thumbnail, say, I can't believe Justin Bieber did this. And then the video would be about like your cat in a poorly lit garage. But it could get a lot of people to click because it literally, the algorithm hadn't detangled those two things. You were just
Mm,
tricking people.
got
Whereas
it.
now, if you kind of make a big promise, crazy thumbnail, crazy title, people can realize pretty quick, okay, I'm not getting what I came here for, or this
Right.
video isn't as interesting as I thought. So
Mm.
YouTube really just boiled it down to saying, okay, if somebody clicks on the video and then watches it and watches it as long as possible and even to the end, then we're going to make that video go viral if it also is appealing to a broad enough audience. Its lid will probably be potentially in real estate, we can only really go so far, in
Right.
investing in business, that's also only going to go so far. But if you're Mr. Beast and you have a really broad appeal and you remake Squid Game, not only is that interesting and entertaining, maybe at a lot of ages, it has an international appeal to it.
Sure.
And so there's a reason it can get 100 million, millions, billions of views because
Sure.
it's a broad appeal thing. So that would actually speak to the aspect of virality. But if someone clicks on the video, watches to the end, and YouTube keeps showing it to more people like them or more people that would maybe also be interested in that video, those people click on it, they watch it to the end. And then the final one is surveys, which many people listening to this and watching this have maybe never seen one. But every so
Mm.
often, after you watch a video, a survey will pop up and say,
Yep.
what did you think about that video? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Because what they realized was that even if someone watches to the end, they may be pissed off by the end. They may be like, you just wasted 20 minutes of my
Yeah.
time.
What the
Like
heck?
I trusted you. I thought you were going to deliver value. I kept hanging on, but my satisfaction level is actually kind of low. So they want a kind of that third metric to flush out just the data. And the algorithm is also making literally thousands of changes all the time, micro
Sure.
changes. But that's the big thesis. That's like the 30,000-foot level
Sure.
that is took me a few minutes there to describe, is understandable as you kind of learn about it, but definitely a hard code to crack, because then the
Yeah.
code to crack becomes understanding human psychology and thumbnails and titles and topics, and then crafting content and videos that are interesting that make people want to watch to the end.
Yeah, if for a guy like me who really spends zero time thinking about all that, all I have to do is watch other large channels. For example, Graham Stephan. I'm stealing this from his Twitter post. He was asked, why is he always sad? If you've ever seen Graham Stephan the last, I don't know, seemingly 6 months, every thumbnail has him sad. And he basically said he did an A/B test and the same content, same video, one happy, one sad. and the sad video got 3x. That's just human behavior. Apparently, people want to click on sad Graham, not happy Graham.
100% it's human behavior. And what's actually interesting is while we're in a new world, AI, YouTube, social media, TikTok, also nothing's really changed. It's all media. And what has always worked on media? It's going to be, the drama. It's going to be deaths, murder, fear, uncertainty, and dread. It's going to be just stories that'll grip your attention. No, if something absolutely amazing happened in your local community and somebody did a bunch of charitable work, those stories get covered for 30 seconds, really deep into the news program, or not at all if there's enough, someone got kidnapped, like that's the leading story. And that's what we kind of are biting our nails hanging on. And your listeners, I know this is a kind of a renegade contrarian thinking, people who are protecting their mindset and thinking about, understanding that like that's not healthy, but left to our own devices, that's what the masses will watch and will click on. And so if you tap into those mass psychology principles, and I think it's also things like sometimes people are probably more prone to click on a face that is even stoic is a face that's working really good in thumbnails right now. Because we maybe have mistrust of too much energy or too much excitement or to like too much, like, are you really where, or why are you worried? If you can create curiosity, and then of course you talk about Crash Bros all the time. The thing is, it just works though. If you put
it does
flaming houses, for
yellow
sale
and
sign,
red, yellow and red and flaming
the
houses,
crashing red arrow, and then throw something like minus 30%.
Exactly. Big bright yellow.
Yeah, it was only that transactions went down 56% in one niche market in something that's not even that big of a deal. But yeah, just take that number, throw that in the thumbnail. And that's also where you get into that clickbait area of where it can be true. But I really believe over time, you are kind of eroding trust, or you're just becoming branded as a particular type of person that only markets their content some way. I think that everybody ever so often, especially when it's really aligned with truth and integrity, should tap into those tactics. But I think like anything, they could just be overused, or they could be abused, or they could be, but I mean, once someone figures out something that's working, I think Seth Godin maybe was famous for saying that marketers ruin everything. As soon as something's working, being sad in your thumbnails, people just work it until it stops working. And that's also where in marketing, we also learn. It may be the thing working now, but then it flips. Like people are like, man, I want to see some positivity. And it's a lot of times just being one or two steps ahead and testing and experimenting these different things. Color theory is very fascinating, color and thumbnails. And it all comes back though. It's like, can it get the person to click to not or not?
It's about the first step. It's the click, then the average view duration. Yeah, exactly.
And can it stand out? There's things even to consider. They just switched the default theme of YouTube on mobile to dark mode. So your thumbnails, how they contrast, if your thumbnails were really dark, they may now disappear. But if they kind of go opposite, they're going to have contrast for the masses. These little details, many channels get away without thinking about these types of things. But at a mastery level, and that's kind of where what we're always pursuing and studying. And for those who this is very much able to become someone's career. I mean, for Graham Stephan, it is basically the one thing he is doing and thinking about. And he's got a few other things, but he's really, content creation has become his main thing. So it'd be his responsibility to think all day, every day, split testing things. And so, yeah, it could be color theory, how you structure and write titles, the opening of the video. We're just so prone to click off of things. We'll click off Netflix shows. We'll click off. I think about my wife. We'll see something new and she'll say, hit it. Let's just give it a try. So that's where a lot of us go with media, including YouTube. Let me just, okay, it's got me to the point of a click, but it hasn't even got me to the point of committing to the end. That's why when we were talking and I said, hey, when you open up a daily financial news or anything, come right out the gate to give me the really quick 6 things you're about to talk about, because you might drop one that makes me go, okay, I don't even want to just listen to a little bit of this. I need to stick around until the end for that last thing that is coming up. That's a thoughtful way to help the viewer also make a decision. if I'm going to try this out and click on this to start it, if you lose me midway, if I'm like, okay, great, I've learned the first few things you said, but I don't even, why would I even stay here? I'm going to go somewhere else. But if you gave me a reason and really, I'm like, I need to sit through the whole thing.
Yeah, it's been very helpful. I've seen a noticeable change again. The coaching and mentoring you've given me over the last 6 months has been game changing. So thank you for that. The other thing I know about YouTube is you don't have to be right. Right. There's been a lot of talk about housing. It's obviously a place where I play. There's been a very few people right, lots of people wrong, but it doesn't matter. YouTube has no
Of
accuracy
course. And
score.
that is sad. I saw a good video talking about one of the popular, it's it's sort of scammy. It's not a scammy idea and helping people start side businesses. But I saw a video breaking down, it's a trending video, and the person doing its model, and this is what is true for a lot of the Crash Bros too. They're just trying to get AdSense out of the middle, because if they could get a lot of viewership and they can get the potential demographic of the viewership, you're going to make more on ad revenue if your audience is a little bit older. YouTube does know where do they live. If you're talking about US housing market, you're probably getting people that are a little bit older thinking about buying a house, and they are US viewers. It's a lucrative CPM. That's how YouTube pays you, the amount they pay you. It's going to pay a lot more than cat videos. It's going to pay. And so, so if people can shock people, get them to click on videos with fear, uncertainty, and dread.
Dude, some of these Crash Bros are buying homes now. How do you like that? That's capitalism at its best, right?
Off of and
revenue.
They absolutely don't practice what they preach, or they have one ADU, like of one thing, and they're claiming to be a real estate expert. So
it's hilarious.
You got to be careful, and I mean, I think your community is inherently, they think different, and they're wise, and they're not a part of that. But it goes back to the masses kind of can fall into that. That's why I always encourage people to just be very thoughtful about the credibility of who you're learning from. Or of course, if you're unsure of that, to literally take it with a grain of salt, because sometimes I'm interested to just hear a perspective. And the level of credibility on a scale from 1 to 10 I'm going to give it is probably, I'm going to start off at a 2 until so what has that person done, or what authority do they have, or what, how much experience do they have, how many cycles have they lived through, even in this most recent term, people that have only done good in real estate in the last 15 years. It's a whole different deal if someone's been the last 20, 30 years. And so I think that's just a wise framework for life that many people forget to think about, is just being very selective with the voices you listen to, and their credibility, and their tenure and their history. But YouTube, it is what it is. And I mean, it's kind of like they say, don't hate the player, hate the game.
I'm down for that.
And that's kind of like it. While I wouldn't personally, I'm very concerned, much like you, with having a reputation, having integrity, not selling out in the short term, and being, playing the long game, and just, valuing truth. I do respect the game.
Yeah, of course. I think it's wonderful. I think I'm pro-capitalist. If that's what the game says to do, and you're willing to play it, go nuts.
And people can make their own decisions about what they want to view and watch. Like the market decides
of course,
what it wants to watch, or what it wants to click on. I don't know. At some point, again, they're just random predictions about things up and down constantly. I'm like, how helpful is this ultimately? It'd probably be better
it's
to
always
learn the
down.
rules. Probably be good to get a buy box and actually get back to some first principles, and just do the work, and have handles like that, as opposed to this emotional roller coaster that people and that's I mean,
so another thing I wanted to ask you about YouTube is I think, as a content creator, someone who has been doing it multiple years, I think at some point you become one or the other. One is you can focus on becoming what I call an entertainer. The other one you could become is an educator. And it's probably no shock to people, but educators make a lot less money than entertainers, at least in the short time. But educators impact lives. I mean, you could probably talk about teachers that made a difference in your life, that changed your direction. Entertainers, they make you laugh, they make you cry, drama, but you just move on. I think as a content creator, at some point you're going to make that choice, and one is impactful at the human level, and one might be you might make more money being a comedian or a drama queen or whatever. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm bullish on the education side because I actually do think it's more practical. I actually think the entertainment sides actually can be challenging unless you just appeal to the lowest common denominator. I saw a funny meme about influencer culture in LA right now
Mm.
of people running up to people in public and being like, hey, what job did you do to buy the car you're in?
Yeah,
Like
I've
those
seen that.
videos are going viral of like,
Mm.
and of someone's in a Ferrari and someone will run up on them and they need their influencer soundbite. And this is happening. They'll go to Newport Beach. How much money do you make a year? And of course, people are like, get away from me. But if they need the content, and then those types of videos happen to be doing well. So the joke was just, again, things get super saturated and whatever. So that's like it's kind of an entertaining model. Some people that do prank channels or people that just maybe that to the extreme they go it's maybe like a comedian that just goes to the most base level of comedy to try to get attention and get views and do whatever it takes, and drama channels to that point too. People who just maybe say the most salacious things, they go to the bottom of the barrel TMZ style content
Mhm.
because it's all about, that's what it's about. So there's sort of that category. I would never want to be there because what good is it to gain the world but lose your soul? So it's like,
Exactly.
why? I then think the entertainment thing, the problem there is I think it's an amazing model. I think everyone who has the self-awareness and talent should go into that direction. But whenever I get a coaching question or somebody in our community says, hey, so I'm a musician and I want to be the next, Justin Bieber or Taylor Swift. Tell me the YouTube hacks to do that. And I was like, I think you misunderstood how the
Yeah,
world works. Like
yeah, yeah,
what you
yeah.
actually need to be is
Taylor
Justin
Swift.
Bieber or Taylor Swift. Like
That's-
so it's like how good's your voice, how good's your songwriting, how good's your how unique is what you're bringing to. And by the way, I just learned this stat: 100,000 new songs are being uploaded to the internet every day.
I saw that post of yours. Yeah, I saw that.
I mean,
Crazy.
and this is true.
A
This is what
day.
BMG and Billboard.com are talking about. So it's like if you want to have a Billboard #1 single, think about that. That's daily, 365
Yeah.
days a year. And then what these executives said, no, it's probably more than that. So a lot of people are trying to become entertainers. That's going to be its own challenge of musician, comedian. And I think it's self-awareness though, but if that's what you want to do, then that's what you should do. And you're going to be on the stand-up grind. I heard a lot of stand-ups. It takes 7, 8 years to
Mhm.
develop your voice. You're grinding in small shows and venues, but all of those individuals should be leveraging TikTok, YouTube. That's the entertainment model. As you
Absolutely.
shift over to education, this is what I love though, is I think that the gatekeepers are gone. The rules are different than
Yes.
traditional Hollywood and media, that the opportunity for honestly the average everyday person like us that maybe doesn't have an incredible singing voice, that doesn't is not a supermodel, and that doesn't maybe have untold levels of charisma or things like that, but has just simply learned how to do something and has gotten to a decent enough level to be able to pass along what they know. The long tail of opportunity there is huge. And the practicality of making it even a career is huge because when you're in education, it lends itself to an online course, to putting together a virtual event. And because
Mhm.
people just want to learn a particular skill. It makes me think of Plants and Lucia, who's like one of our Video Ranking Academy students. She joined at 0. She's at 50,000 subscribers. All she talks about is plants and photosynthesis
That is
and
awesome.
setting up plants and lighting, and now she's getting brand deals. She made a $30 online course about plant lighting. Like I teach people lighting, she teaches plant light, like how to light your
That's
plants.
like very unique.
Very unique. And she has built this very cool career. And
Nice.
so she will never be a Mr. Beast. She will never probably have a chart topping single on the Billboard charts. But when you go into teach, you can look at websites like Udemy, which
Mhm.
in and of itself is a marketplace of online courses about anything you could think of, homeschool, CAD, software programming. If you decide that you look at, I'm about to interview next week, Miss Excel. She
Mhm. Yeah,
teaches
I know her. Yeah.
Excel,
Yep.
and And so it could be just one niche software program on Microsoft or Apple. And what's cool is that's where we're kind of like the anti, we try to be the anti-hype. I'm sure we get categorized that way. I'm not, again, it's not get rich quick. You're
No.
not going to be a YouTube millionaire probably, but the practicality of teaching something and being an educator and making an extra 10 or $48,000 a year or
Mhm.
$65,000 a year, and potentially then shifting. We've helped so many people transition from the road. They had to do workshops and seminars in
Mhm.
person, and then they were able to shift online. So many people be able to transition maybe out of the grind because they've done something long enough. Then now they can go more into teaching, teach of what they know, and have a little bit more lifestyle and freedom and autonomy because YouTube and the internet gives you the leverage of
Right.
being able to make a video one time and serve many. So I love education, and I think it's the equal opportunity content format where people sometimes say, could everybody be successful on YouTube? My answer actually is yes, because it may not be that you're on camera, but you could hire them. They could be optimizing your channel. You could
Mhm.
work in the industry, but also once you get into something that now the bar is lower in terms of, yeah, again, no supermodel, no need to have NBA level Michael Jordan talent, but just something you've invested a lot of time and research and your life. Now there's hungry people because of your 10 years of experience doing something
Mhm.
that you start teaching on that comes easy to you, that you could start turning into content and monetizing it.
Yeah. I got to tell you, as somebody who's clearly chosen the education route, right? I don't do fancy editing. In fact, I don't do any editing. I don't do any splat, none of that stuff. The first year or so was slow, but I just about every day now, I get a note from someone saying something like, "You've changed my life. You've done this. You've done that. You've helped my kids." And at least for me, that is better than any dollar amounts. That's what I'm trying to do is leave this place better than when I found it. And I would just challenge all of you out there that have that education grind to know it's worth it. I would tell you it takes a year to get your voice and your story right, but you really can change people's lives, and YouTube is how I'm doing it. And I couldn't do it without YouTube. So I want to thank you for all the coaching and mentoring. Your amazing book that has changed my life. Where can people find you?
Yeah. If you want to connect, then Think Media on YouTube. If you just search the word think, the second word media, and we've got a bunch of tutorials. If you want to start doing this thing, learn how to package what you know into simple YouTube videos that help people and change lives, check out Think Media and YouTube Secrets second edition. That's the book. It's a really good resource. There's an audiobook, so it's on Audible. In fact, I'm sure your audience has an Audible account, but if you don't, they always will give you a free credit just for doing a trial. And so YouTube Secrets second edition is on Audible. There's the
Yeah.
Kindle version, and there's also the physical book version, all available on Amazon.
Sean, thank you so much.
Thank you.